Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of my live podcast, Read in English. And I am really happy to talk to you today about a language learning and teaching concept that is called extensive reading. So I've come across this concept of extensive reading while I was studying for my master's in education at the King's College London. While I was doing my research and studying I was researching for my master's thesis. My topic was about storytelling and language learning, and storytelling about the environment, how to teach languages with stories and bring environmental awareness through stories and English learning. So that was, sorry, I forgot the full title, but it's been, I haven't looked back since. But anyway, that was the idea of this master's thesis. And for that, I did a lot of research on extensive reading, and I've done a lot of research in terms of storytelling and stories, and how stories could help in language learning. And this is where, at that point, where I realized that we could do so much with stories and languages. This is also at that point that I came across those graded readers books, and that I will talk about tomorrow in my episode 7, of Read in English podcast. So that's gonna be for tomorrow. I will show you, I will explain and give some more details. Hello, Katie. Welcome. Welcome to my new podcast today on extensive reading. I hope you're doing well. Hello. I hope that you had a nice morning, and that you are ready to learn more about extensive reading, and just discover this kind of new concept. And oops, so I just realized that I've got the book stuck here under this computer, and yay, nice. Oopla. Did you manage to watch the episode? Oh, I'm sorry. To watch the episode yesterday, to watch the end of my review of Beesin, Kitty? Did you manage to get the time to watch the end? Because yesterday I didn't manage to finish. Hello, Joanna. Hello, welcome to Ladies Book Club live. This is my episode. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, whenever, if you've got time. Anyway, no, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, where do I have my brain? The episode is not out. I'm so sorry. I'm so the only thing that is available is the live replay on Instagram, but you were actually there at that point. The full version of the episode is not yet released on YouTube or Spotify. It will be tomorrow. So I don't know why I'm asking you this, Kitty, because it's not available. I'm so dumb. Okay, never mind. Sorry about this. I just my brain just switched off. um, Hi, Joanna. Thank you for joining. How are you today? So I was just about to introduce this concept that I've discovered when I was researching for my master's thesis in education. So I did a topic on storytelling and how we could bring awareness we could bring environmental awareness with storytelling in the language learning, in the language classroom. So that was my topic for my thesis. And for that, I did a lot of research about stories, about storytelling in language teaching and learning. And I came across this book about extensive reading. And this is when I discovered that concept of extensive reading. So it's, or ER, it's very much associated with language teaching and learning. And it's recognized as one of the 4 reading styles established in language teaching. The first one is scheming, when you are, looking at when you're reading very how to say, like if you had an overview of a text, scheming, then scanning, and then you've got intensive, and then extensive reading. So extensive reading is very much in opposition to intensive reading. So intensive reading, if you don't know exactly what it's about, it's the way we tend to usually study texts, which is this idea of analyzing, examining vocabulary, structure of a sentence, or a passage, and studying the grammar as well. So it's very much about the analysis of sentences, but extensive reading in opposition is actually the pleasure of reading. We are not in the analysis of sentences. We are more in this state of reading for pleasure without having to dissect really the text. And it's more of an experience, an enjoyable experience, and at the end of the day you really interpret the text as you feel it, and how it feels as an overall work of as an overall work. So yes, it's much more a personal feeling towards the book, and it's very much about the experience of reading something that we enjoy, because most of the time it's because we are interested in the topic, or we know about the author, and we like what this person talks about and represents, and then we are going to discover that work. So Richard R.D. or Day, sorry, and Julian Bamford are the specialists in extensive reading, in this concept of extensive reading in the second language classroom. And they define that term in very simple terms. An extensive reading approach aims to get students reading in the second language and liking it. Because what I've personally experienced, you let me know, Kitty or Joanna, your experience in learning English or a foreign language. Often you study extract of text or extract of original books, and you are going to read and you're going to read to you, or even if it's in for example in a textbook, you're going to read an extract and not necessarily something that you're interested in, or you will have, because it's a reading exercise. So you are going to read that text, try to understand it, and try to look at or what tense do we have here, who is writing, what is this person trying to say, what's the message of that text. But that's it. It's just a reading exercise, and you're not in the, it's imposed to you or imposed at you, probably in that sense. It's something that you have to do because it's your teacher who told you that you're going to read that text. So it doesn't come from the choice of the text is not, it does not come from the students in this intensive reading experience. And in the contrary, in extensive reading, it is this idea of flipping the concept or the practice, and instead of the teacher choosing the text for the students or choosing the books for the students, it's the students themselves who are going to select the book that they want to read. It's very much reversed. Yeah, the teaching strategy here is reversed. So research in second language has proven that students approach the reading stories of text pretty much the same way that they would in their own language, to enjoy and to learn about something that interests them. So it's funny to see that we believe that as a teacher, or for a long time, teachers thought that because this is not your first language, then you have to learn, or you have to read something that is part of maybe the culture, the English culture, or I don't know, if you're learning French, for example, it's part of this culture of the classics of French or English literature. But so they're going to show you different extracts of the main writers. But the thing is, we forget to ask what students want to read and what topics they're interested in, because we assume that everybody maybe is going to like Frankenstein, even if it's the masterpiece. But it maybe some will like it. And the thing is, like everything, when I mean, Frankenstein, for example, is a book that I've read very recently, and like everything in as you grow up, or as you evolve, your tastes change. And when probably at a certain time in your life when you were younger, or I don't know, you didn't like that piece of work, well, maybe 10 years later you would be in a different you're going to be in a different phase of your life, and you will have probably understood more things, and you will be able to appreciate much more this piece of work than you would have years before. So it's never, yeah, it's that's what's interesting, actually. It's this idea of nothing is carved in the stone. As we say, there is I think that works as well in English, this expression, because our taste, as I was saying, our taste evolves, sorry. So it's nice to show different, to allow students to have different, to allow to show a large panel of books that are available to them, and different authors, female authors and men as well. But we often forget about, well, I mean, women writers have been often neglected in teaching programs and in literature. So I think that it's also something that needs to be addressed as well. So yes, it's this idea of reading for pleasure. And now you might be wondering that can extensive reading really help me become fluent in English? And this is the whole point of my book club. And the answer is yes. Yes, of course. Yes, because first, the advantages of reading for pleasure. And I think it's a good start to start reading for pleasure. This is exactly that has been my journey. I've started reading in English with books that I was interested in the topic. I picked this book, and it was from It Was Not That Kind of Girl from Leonard Dunham. And I picked that book, I read it, I didn't understand everything, but I started with this, and then with time and with confidence as well, and because I developed my interest in classic English literature, because I didn't go to university. Yeah, exactly. At school, so that's Katie's message. At school and university, the classics are always male authors. Yes, not yeah. If I look at my books, I can't show you my library here, but my bookshelf, but I will at some point. If I look at my book, I did that a couple years ago. I looked at all the authors, and this is where I decided, okay, from now on, I'm just going to read, I'm not only, but mainly, I will read female author from now on, and as much as I can. And when I look at all the books that I've studied at school, I see that maybe there is one female, Anne Frank. I don't know if you. This is a classic of literature when we are at school. Anne Frank, she's a female, okay, but this is maybe the only one, and she's also how old is she? She's probably 15 when she wrote that book, her diary, and because it's this type of book, that is my hope that I will learning it through the novels. Yeah. Yes, 14. Yeah, she was. Thank you. Yeah, so she was 14. So that's also why teachers like to study to make students study this book, but it's probably the one or two female author female authors that we study that I have been studying at school, or we would maybe, because in France when I was studying French, we are very much into this intensive reading and analysis, intensive reading approach, very much into that. And this is the reason why, as well, I think it took me so long to enjoy reading. It took me years. It's only when I started reading in English, funnily enough, it's only I was reading, I realized that I've always been reading, has always been around, but reading like as much as I do now, it's very much, or but really enjoying it, it's very much recently that I have experienced that, and it was when I started reading in English and owning the fact that no, I'm not going to read this book that got this price, because most of the book prices, not Booker Prize, but book prices in France or in the UK are now, it's changing a little bit, but most of them, a lot of the time, are rewarding male authors, and they're not topics that I'm interested in anyway. So they're most of the time I'm not really into these type of author. And I remember reading this book of this man, this French, very, very famous French author, Michel Houellebecq. I remember reading his book because everybody was talking about it. And I wrote his book and I was like, my God, what am I reading? What is this? And I was like, never again. I spend my money on this trash. Never again. Never again. I was almost ashamed of reading this book. I was in the train. I remember I was reading this book in the train and I was like, what the? No, and from that day on, I was like, first of all, I'm gonna read females authors. And second of all, I will not let myself influenced by media or whatever people were saying that we have to read this, or people talking about this book, or any prices. I'm just never again, I will spend my money on books that are really not my jam, or not really are really not for me, and who are not aligning with my values. So yeah, so that was a big lesson. So this is why as well, yeah, now I just only want to talk about female authors, and talking about enjoying reading, and the joy of reading, because I feel like I had to reconcile myself with reading, and I want to show, or to show people that, or especially young children, especially children as well, that reading is nice, reading is good, and that there is something else than video games. I mean, they learn languages as well through video games. It's great. But I think that reading and whether and different forms of books like graphic novels or comics, it's still about reading, and or mangas. This is so popular. This is now a huge market, and I saw that some mangas are adapting Jane Austen's books. And if it's a way for young readers to get into Jane Austen's masterpiece and work of art that she did, um, it's amazing. It's great because you start with this. You start with a format that suits you because you're enjoying because you're confident with this type of reading or this type of format, and it's less scary because books can be scary. That's something that I've learned as well. Is that when I was younger, I had to read those big books that not really talking about very serious topics, very tough, yeah, tough subjects, and I think that when you're young, I mean, it's important for students to be aware of what was going on in the 19th or 20th century. Oh, yes, 19th century, or um, at the beginning of the 20th century as well. But the thing is, sometimes you don't have the maturity for these books. And um and I think that it's some books are too soon for us to study, or maybe the teachers that choose those books maybe should have used a different and an adapted edition or something that is more digestible. I don't know, but yes, for me, reading was very much associated with work and having to read this book because the teachers asked, because of school. So I was just reading because I had to, because it was that book that I had to read for school. And that really put me off with reading for a couple years until I decided or I it didn't quite, yeah, so in some way put me off, or when I was reading other things that were lighter, um um like for example, we talked about this with this author, with this author Sophie Kinsella, which she this American author, she writes about very kind of rom-com type of books, romance and comedy books. But I felt kind of ashamed of, actually, I didn't keep those books. And now I regret it because I bought those books, I read them, but then I felt, oh no, they're not, um, you know, respectable enough, or they're not really, I was really diminishing those books, and and now I really want to be able to embrace any kind of, yeah, shopaholic, yeah, books. I hadn't read this one, but I read another one, and I can't remember the title, but it was in French. I read it in French, and I didn't keep those books. And now I feel like I regret, because it's part of my journey into with reading, and the fact that I put those away, I gave them, or I don't know, and to charity, I think. And I think that you shouldn't be ashamed. Yeah, definitely. Whatever books that you like, whether if it's romance or I don't know, whatever, it's something that has to be celebrated. It's part of who you are, and having the confidence to own it and to defend yourself against anyone that could criticize you, it's so empowering. And now I just can only advocate for this, and I would not let myself influenced by any people that say anything any otherwise to me. So that's basically my message with my book club. So first of all, why reading? Why extensive reading? And so this idea of reading for pleasure really is really going to help you becoming fluent in English, is that first, it will rapidly increase your reading speed and fluency. Second, you will be exposed to hundreds of new words and many new sentences, structures that are often not taught in formal lessons. 3, it helps consolidate your vocabulary and grammar, because you will revisit vocabulary that you already know, and it will consolidate the knowledge that you already know. Fourth argument, or fourth reason why you will be able to become fluent with reading, because these words and phrases that will be used in a more these phrases, sorry, will be used in a more natural context, and the fact that this words or phrases will be in context, it will strengthen your understanding, and it will give you the confidence to use them in real life. It's because you have the overarching of the story, and you are into the characters, you're into these the narrative as well of the story, and you're very much immersed. Sorry if it was a bit confusing. So you're very much immersed in the story and the characters, that it will allow you to understand those. If you are not going to be able to fully understand the exact translation into your own language, it doesn't matter, because you will understand that it's a negative or positive meaning with this word. Most of the time, you will be able to understand the idea of the passage and the message of what message the author wants to give here. Fifth element as well is the fact that you will practice passive learning. And that's very smart. When you will immerse yourself into the story and observe those unfamiliar words, those words that are new and structures, you will learn without actually realizing it. It's the same that when you watch a film and your brain is working at the same time, because you're listening it into the original version, And if you've got the subtitles in English as well, it's even better. But your brain will stock those vocabulary, this bank of vocabulary, and those new vocabularies, sorry, in this bank of words that you have in your brain. And this will, at some point, you're going to, in the conversation, you're gonna like, oh, how do I know this word? And you will be able to use then in real life. So if you want to dig deeper into this concept of extensive reading, well, there is this book, but it's very scholar and very academic, and maybe not really. It's mainly if you're a teacher, actually, if you're a teacher and you really want to know more about extensive reading, and there is this whole concept of building a library in the classroom that students will where students will be able to pick the books that they want. And there is so many programs and study cases about extensive reading in the classroom. But there is also a very useful website, the Extensive Reading Foundation, ERF. I will put the link in the my YouTube or my Spotify, YouTube or Spotify video, when I will publish the episode. Sorry, so you will be able to find the link. I'm not going to be able to do it on Instagram because with links it doesn't really work very well. So you will be able to find the links in on YouTube or Spotify, because you can easily have access to the links, or clicking on the link, sorry. Oh my god. Anyway, so if you want to look up, it's Extensive Reading Foundation, and they have loads of evidence and case studies on how extensive reading can significantly accelerate vocabulary and grammar acquisition. That's the very academic, academic word, yeah. Yes, so that was all about extensive reading. So I hope that you enjoyed this rather short compared to yesterday's book review, my live book review yesterday about Be Seen, which was quite long compared to this podcast. But anyway, it's this is how it is. I hope you enjoyed learning about extensive reading, and that you are now aware of this concept, or now you understand it better. And you understand also, I hope, that you understand better the power of reading in a second language and the power of reading in English. And so you can become more confident in your speaking, mainly first because a language, it's nice when we are able to speak it, but everything is linked in languages, it will definitely improve as well your writing if you want to start writing in English, or if you, for any reasons, you have to write in English for your studies or anything. Reading, it's like your mother tongue. We always encourage children to read. The more they read, the more you will become better at writing. And that's true as well in second language. So I will say now that this episode will be available next week. So it will be available on Wednesday. So episode 6, what is extensive reading in language learning, will be available next week, because tomorrow you're going to have access to the book review of Be Seen, and next week it's going to be this episode next Wednesday, and it's going to be the same for the next podcast episodes. So tomorrow will be about graded readers and why they're amazing and why I love them in language learning. It was interesting. Oh, thank you so much, Katie, for your feedback. Thank you. That was interesting. I'm glad that you found that podcast and this topic interesting. I think that it's nice to be able to talk about those very scholar topics, concept, I would say, very pompous, extensive reading. What is this? But it's actually a simple concept, and it's the where my idea of this book club came about, and I started with children's books, reading children's books with the workshops, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try this with adults. I want to see how it looks, how it's gonna work, and I'm glad that it's something that it's not only accessible for, or it's not only for students, for young learners, it can be applied to adults as well. And as we're going to start Little Women next week, um, I think that as an adult is such a pleasure to be able to revisit those classics of, that's apparently a classic of children literature, American children literature. But I think that it can be just considered as a classic of American literature. And I have this, so there is this version that we are going to read from next week, because it's stage 4. It's according to the Oxford University Press, who are publishing these collection of Oxford bookworms, those graded readers. It corresponds to B1, B2. But I feel a bit skeptical. We'll see. Personally, I would think that it's more B1, A2, B1, but we'll see. And it's divided in 14 chapters as well. So I preferred this version compared to this one. That's the Penguin Readers adaptation, and it's for level 1. Level 1 is really beginners. So B1, B2, it's intermediate and lower and upper intermediate. Yes. And we're in between, intermediate, lower and upper, yeah. But level 1 here is really for beginners, and you can see how it's laid out. So it's more like a comics. So it's much more suitable for young learners, really. So I will probably read that as a live reading for kids, something that I will be doing in French, English and French soon. So I bought it, but I will keep it for young readers, young learners, and young readers. So that was the choice behind this edition. And this one actually dates from 1994. So I realized that Oxford bookworms have been publishing graded readers for years and years. And I didn't know, 1994, I was 4 years old, and graded readers already existed, but none of my teachers showed me any of these. I've never knew until now that I've become a teacher that graded readers exist. So they are so nice. There are illustrations here. So yeah, it's nice to see that they've done this edition, and it's been simplified actually and re-edited in 2008. So that's the 2008 version edition here. So it was lovely to talk to you today and talk about extensive reading. And I would love to know in the comments your thoughts about this episode and what you think, if you knew already about extensive reading or if it's something that it's completely new to you. Please let me know. I would love to have your comments on this, and I will see you tomorrow for my next podcast on graded readers. Bye.